My name is Miranda McBride, and I'm the owner of Jumpstart Auxiliary Enterprises, LLC. And we essentially are here to help real estate investors find creative ways to build and scale their business. We're here today with my daughter, Kiah McBride. She has been involved in real estate investment for the past couple of years, and I want her to share her experiences with us in terms of how she has been able to acquire real estate investments and what she has done to be able to increase the number of properties that she currently owns, and some of the challenges that she may have experienced along the way, and things that she might want to share with others to help them build their business as well. So Kiah, tell us a little bit about your background.
Hello, my name is Kiah McBride. By day, I'm a project manager in a tech company, and outside of that, I do real estate investments. I'm also a writer.
All right, and when did you first get involved in real estate investment?
I would say officially, as far as the actual and property is concerned, in March 2022. That was me purchasing my first home as a primary residence. But I've been studying real estate investing for probably 3 years now.
And what got you interested in real estate investing?
Probably a mix of things. Like in general, I've always had an interest in real estate. I'm definitely a heavy HGTV fan and used to watch all the house flipping shows and home decor interior design shows. But I guess what kind of provoked me to actually take action was a combination of listening to other real estate investors and reading books on real estate investing and just seeing the potential benefits of real estate investing.
So Kiah, how many real estate deals have you completed thus far?
So far, officially just one property, but it was converting my detached garage into a living space as well.
So can you tell us a little bit about that process?
The home purchase itself was pretty straightforward. It was my first home, so I purchased it as a primary residence. So I just went through a typical conventional loan process just because it had a pretty low down payment. Behind the house was a detached garage, and it was about 600 square feet. So it was pretty big. So I decided to have that converted to a living space. And process wise, to be honest, the process was probably all over the place because I'd never done it before. So I essentially connected with a contractor who gave me an estimate based on what I was looking to do. I, provided him with some examples of what I was going for. And he came and walked the space and just gave me an estimate, a quote for how much it would probably cost just to convert the space.
So little inside track, of course, as I said, Kiah is my daughter. So I provided some funding for the purchase of this home because that is primarily what I do, is more on the lending side as opposed to buying and holding and renting out properties. But I know some of what Kiah went through as she was converting this space. So Kiah, can you give us a little example of a couple of challenges that you ran into while you were doing the conversion?
Yeah, so I guess to backtrack, I initially didn't expect to have help with funding. What happened was it ended up costing more than it was originally quoted, and I didn't have the additional funds. And I knew a little bit about private money lending just because of all the real estate stuff I had been digesting. Thankfully, my mother was open to providing some of the remaining funds that I thought I needed as a private money lender. So we did set up like a actual contract for that. But as the project went on, I think I didn't realize probably what they quoted me was just the cost of labor. So I still had to pay materials out of pocket, which luckily I had a little bit of business credit. So a lot of that went on to my business credit. And then, a lot of it was just more and more expenses that kept coming up, either from, the actual process of renovating. You never quite know everything until you start doing stuff. Also just issues with some contractors where, some of the work didn't quite go according to plan. So had to like go find somebody who could fix the work that they did wrong. So just like kind of a bunch of issues in that regard. I would say most of the issues were essentially around money.
Yeah, and along the way, of course, I had the opportunity to learn some from Kiah's experiences as well, since she shared with me some of what was going on during the course of this renovation. And I know one thing that I was very impressed about with Kiah that some people may not necessarily do was just how she used the experience as a learning mechanism. So she didn't just hire a contractor and walk away and let the contractor do whatever he said he was going to do, and then just come in at the end and take a peek and give the thumbs up or the thumbs down. Kiah actually was in there learning. So she would ask them probing questions about what they were doing and how they were doing it and why they were doing it as well, which allowed her to get a more in-depth knowledge of the process so that the next time she better understands how she should approach certain things, because some of the things that happened were not expected. And so, of course, anybody who has ever done a renovation knows that there are opportunities or times when you have to pivot. And so when they were pivoting, she was asking, okay, so why did you do it this way as opposed to this way? And remember that some of this occurred during the time when there were a lot of material shortages due to COVID. And so that was some of the issue as well, was the labor and material shortages that were occurring during that time. So Kiah, in terms of getting into real estate, I wanted to back up a little bit. Kiah mentioned that she's a writer. And so some of what she has been engaged in terms of writing is writing articles essentially for a digital magazine. So one of the people that she talked to was a real estate person. Is that correct? A woman who was doing real estate. Can you tell me a little bit about that and if that inspired you in your quest to get into real estate as well?
Yeah, I would say it definitely helps. So the person I interviewed back when I was a managing editor was Egypt Sherrod. She actually had a show on HGTV at the time called Property Virgins, and she had written a book about just like for first time home buyers essentially trying to get their first property. So definitely just hearing her story, because she was in entertainment prior to that. So even just hearing how she shifted industries to focus on real estate, and if anyone knows or follows her, she now also has another show about flipping properties and whatnot. So she's heavy in the real estate investing side as well. So yeah, I would say it definitely helped. But there's also a second girl I interviewed she was in her like early 20s. She got into real estate kind of by, I won't say accident, but maybe by default. Her grandmother passed down her home to her right before she passed away. The girl essentially through that process learned, that she could make money by purchasing more properties and renting them out. So she built like a portfolio of properties and was now making like over $1 million as a real estate investor. And she was just this young girl who prior to that didn't really know about real estate. So just hearing her story, because it was similar to me. I didn't really have much knowledge outside of what I was reading. So it's like you kind of figure things out along the way. And I think that was inspiring as well, as just seeing, her journey into investing.
All right. Thank you, Kiah. And just so you all know, as I said, since I'm her mother, you know that I'm a bit older. And so I'm just getting into real estate, and she is the one who has essentially inspired me to get into real estate. Kiah has shared along the way some of the things that she's been learning through various YouTube videos, books, podcasts, so on and so forth. And of course, the side that interested me the most was the lending side. So I am currently in the Gator Elite program, and we both just joined the SubTo group as well. So we are learning a lot more, and hopefully, along the way, we'll be growing both of our businesses, because we do have separate businesses, of course. And so it's been really eye-opening seeing some of the things that she's been going through and experiencing. And I greatly appreciate what she's done in terms of sharing some of that information with me as well. So before we end, Kiah, do you have any advice for new people coming into real estate?
Probably the best advice is there's only but so much you can learn in a book. Everything you learn, honestly, is just by getting out there and trying. And I won't say failing, because I don't think even with my experience I failed at anything, but I definitely learned how I could do things better and what I would do differently next time. But I think had I not just kind of thrown myself in the fire, I probably would still be sitting at home with no real estate portfolio, because there's always reasons you can talk yourself out of jumping in. That's probably the main thing. I would say second to that, I guess it depends on what side of real estate you're going into, because again, I came in as a buy and hold investor. So for me, my investing centers primarily around acquisition and renovation, but not with the intention to like flip and sell. So, one, I think it's important to figure out what your goals are, because that will determine what might be the best type of investment strategy for you. And then from there, like really take the time to vet everybody, make sure you're getting, as much information as you can about your contractors and budgets and everything, just because ideally your contractors who you're going to continue doing work with down the line. And it's just definitely much easier if you have someone you can trust to help as you grow your portfolio. So that would probably be the second thing.
All right. Well, we appreciate your time, Kiah, and audience. And hopefully you've learned a little bit about the real estate investing startup process, at least, and look forward to hearing my next podcast.